Today we're going to get real about the stuff that simmers below the surface in our closest relationships. You know, the big things that can really trip us up sometimes. I'm talking about the sneaky assumptions that can tag along when we're having an important, challenging conversation with our partner. There are three main assumptions that exist within our nervous system, meaning that these are beliefs that have been adopted and conditioned into us before we even start the conversation. And so once we know how to interact with the emotional body during the conversation and we give it attention and attune to the emotional body, then we can really truly succeed in creating the deep intimacy that we're looking for. So the three assumptions are, the first one is that we believe that our partner doesn't really want to hear us. The second assumption is that we fear that we're going to be rejected during the conversation. And the third one is that we unconsciously don't feel worthy of the connection that we want, the depth of the connection that we're seeking. How do we navigate this in a challenging conversation? The first thing that we do is start by establishing that there's a commitment to recognize the bond that's already there. So start the conversation by validating that bond. The way that we can do that simply is saying to our partner, we're each going to take just 2 minutes to say 3 things to each other that we really see in each other. So it might be something I might say to my partner, look, I really see how you take care of the kids and show up for them. I really see how you stand up in the work that you do, and you're a powerhouse in sharing your vision. And I see how just the simplest things, like how you care when you make, coffee in the morning and you come and bring me a cup of coffee. I deeply care about you. I deeply care about what you think and how you see things. Now, just by taking a moment to receive this, and before I get into this conversation, it's kind of establishing a rhythm emotionally that says we do have a bond and we're going to prioritize this bond. Now, once the conversation starts, we need to pay attention to the next 2 assumptions that are going to rise up, which is they're easy to recognize because you'll get a feeling that you'll want to react. There'll be a moment in the conversation where you just feel like this jolt, right, of emotion. It might be frustration, it might be sadness. And in that moment, what we have to notice is that there are 2 dynamics that are related to the next 2 assumptions. One is that we're being rejected, and the other is that we're not worthy of the connection. So when either of those rises, what we need to do is pause the conversation and say, honey, I'm noticing as I'm listening to you right now that I'm running with a story that I'm being rejected or that I'm not enough in some way. So acknowledging again that this feeling is related to our connection, and our connection is priority. Not so much the topic of what we're talking about, even though we want to get through this conversation, we want to get through the challenge or perhaps the different points of view we might have about this conversation. The thing is that as long as we ignore the emotional body and we don't prioritize this fear of rejection and this feeling of unworthiness of this connection, we will forever be completely inefficient at even coming up with a solution to the conversation we're having. So I want to invite you to breathe and create some expansiveness in your relationship by taking the time to prioritize the connection in this way, to understand those 3 assumptions are they exist for most couples. So we're not alone in this, and we can actually navigate them by being authentic with expressing them when they show up one at a time. As we say, Avive la vie.